Hello everyone and welcome to the Extreme Kart special event, 1 hour of Spa Francorchamps here. I am Daniel Handover, and joining me in the commentary booth this evening is the wonderful and fantastic Mr. Ed May. Ed, how are you doing this fine evening?
Oh, I'm really looking forward to this event. As you mentioned here, it's a special event here on Simracersworld TV, the Extreme Kart.be special event, the 1 hour Spa Francorchamps, in which we have plenty of GTE drivers all duking it out for, well, there's plenty of prizes on offer. Karting vouchers for some of the drivers lucky enough to score good results here this evening, and also karting vouchers available for some lucky viewers typing away in chat. We'll be able to run you through that format very shortly of how we're going to go about giving all of you a chance to win some goodies and hopefully being able to spend them over at Extreme Kart.
Absolutely, it's going to be a fantastic event. We were actually talking about this beforehand, weren't we, Ed? That we love these special events. We'd love these sort of one-off events that kick. And I mean, to be fair, GTE cars at Spa. What a combination! I'm buzzing for it. These are my favourite cars that I love to drive, and I drive pretty much all the time. I don't know about yourself, Ed, but I just can't wait. I can't wait to get going.
Yeah, definitely. And as you mentioned, we've got several. So we've got quite a lot, actually, GT drivers currently trying to go for the the top prize this evening. The winner gets 2 karting vouchers, and second and third get 1 karting voucher each. Got about 25 drivers almost currently out on track trying to get there. We're just in the last moments of practice before we get into qualifying. 10 minutes of qualifying, 2 laps for these drivers to get the most out of their GT machines, which at the moment seems to be a large field of Porsches at the moment. Only 3 Ferraris.
I know. We were looking at this beforehand. I know the Porsche is popular, but I didn't realise it was going to be that popular, if I'm honest. But here we are. I mean, to be fair, as cars go, and as some of the GT cars go, I don't think it's a bad thing, if I'm perfectly honest. I'm happy with the Porsches. But yeah, it's nice to see a small variation there with the Ferrari. I always find as well the Ferrari, driving both cars, Porsche is amazing on the brakes. Nothing can touch the Porsche on the brakes in the GTE category. But the Ferraris are a little bit more suited, I think. It's generally more comfortable to drive. So, we've got an hour's race. Are we going to see that sort of play a part? I don't know. We're going to find out, obviously, in the near future. But yeah, I think I'm actually intrigued here, because we're going to, obviously, normally we have quite a big spread, don't we, Ed, of all the different GTE cars, but having having just all Porsches, we're going to see obviously there's loads of different driving styles that are going to be driving these Porsches, so I can't imagine they're all the same, obviously, no 2 drivers are the same. But yeah, I'm wondering how this is going to play out, because we're going to see how people drive these cars differently throughout the course of a race.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very key point you mentioned, isn't it? All the way that different drivers will approach this. But another thing as well to mention is, of course, as we alluded to when we came in just at the start, just a few minutes ago, all of you in the chat, all of you lovely people typing away in Belgian that I can't quite understand. So maybe if we could keep it in English so me and Dan can have a bit of a back and forth with you, talk about the race as it goes on, that would be much appreciated. You will all have a chance to win yourself a lovely kart voucher. And how that will work is at random points throughout the race. I think we have a few times in the race where we can give away these vouchers. If you're typing away, we'll choose someone at random, and all you need to do is then type your real name in the YouTube chat and get in contact with the people on the Facebook page for Extreme Kart themselves, and they'll get that all sorted out. The only reason why we ask you to send your real name in the chat, not your YouTube handle, is that we don't quite have the ability to obviously verify if you are. So if you send it in the chat and then get in contact, Facebook should be able to corroborate it, and it'll all look about the same. So that's hopefully understandable enough, and we can have a look at all the drivers going through in practice. And at the moment, the fastest driver is this man, Yuri Crispian, in the very nice looking Porsche, isn't it? I think that's one of the fast racing cars, actually.
Yes, it is indeed. Obviously, one of the looking to be one of the main sponsors, obviously, for this event, Fast Racing. You can see in the top right corner of your screen. But yeah, no, there's some amazing looking liveries. I love looking at liveries. We both love looking at liveries, Ed, don't we? It's one of the things that we do quite a lot. As we see, this is going to be this is Matthias Matz, who's just going to go across the line. Currently in P5, he's actually the second in the Ferrari category. With Cedric, that is Wouters, that I believe is ahead. Looking at this, I'm guessing these are teammates then, because they are running the same livery by the looks. That JWS livery that it seems to be. That seems to be the main title sponsor. So yeah, currently in P3. So last step on this podium for practice at the moment. But obviously we've got qualifying to contend with. Obviously this is where the characteristics change completely. I'm guessing we're actually seeing, looking at the times, I'm guessing we are seeing some qualifying runs being had here. Because there's not very long of qualifying left. And I'm just looking at the gaps. It's very, very close. I'm seeing several times, Ed, in intervals between drivers in the hundredths, not thousand. In the hundredths rather than tenths.
Yeah, it's a very close spread field, isn't it? Right at the top, especially those drivers for the top spots on the podium. Look at that. You're crispy and only a 1/10 faster than the man we're seeing out on track at the moment, Cedric Wouters. And all of those gaps can be diminished quite substantially with the slipstream. The toe is really, really strong at this circuit.
It is indeed. That's one of the things you've really got to take into consideration. Is down this Campbell Straight, as we see Cedric now going through, the toe is absolutely massive. You've got to be so careful. We're just going to go over to qualify now. It's a lone qualifying. So all the drivers are going to be on their own. But obviously, we're going to be able to jump on board with people and see how they're getting on. We're going to be able to jump between some people. But yeah, if you can stay with someone and you can stay through the midsection, through going through, obviously bear in mind you've got all the infill section, the main bulk of the lap. If you can stay with them down the Kemmel Straight, even down the back straight, as you can see on the screen now, just about to come through, going into the dreaded Blanchimont corner, then yeah, you can really make up some positions if you stick with people. That's the main thing. Also, as well, you can save fuel. This is a big thing we haven't talked about, actually. I know it's a 1 hour, which is, I suppose, in GTE racing would be considered a sprint. But even so, like, fuel saving is actually quite key at a place like this.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry about that. My internet is having a slight hiccup. Hopefully, it'll be sorted for the remainder of this hour-long race. But like you mentioned, yeah, fuel saving could come into effect. I don't think they're on full tanks. I think they're limited just a little bit, and maybe the drivers will be trying all the very best they can to extend their stints, maybe try and undercut or potentially even overcut. It's all about figuring out how it's going to work and if you're going to come up in traffic, which as well may come later on with the race being 1 hour long. Trying to find out, though, with these solo qualifying sessions, is that drivers don't really have any excuses, do they, at this point? They don't say, oh, I was held up by traffic. Oh, I didn't get the tow that the pole sitter got. Nope, they're all on the same level playing field.
Yes, they are. But it also means, though, it also adds a bit of element of, I'm trying to think the best way to put it. It always adds an element of uncertainty, I think, is probably the best way to put it. Because you're not 100% sure on what everyone else is doing. So you can't really see anyone. You've got no gauge until people start cross the line. And obviously, bear in mind that somewhere like here, a lap time, an out lap plus a flyer takes, upwards or just under probably 4.5 minutes. So you've got to wait what feels like an absolute age before you can get out and actually really find whereabouts you are on track. So as we're currently see, Yannick Levens, who was setting some very, very good times in practice that we were seeing. Obviously, currently the man out. Just going through Blanchimont, that's a tricky call on that, but he manages to keep it all in check, even with cold tyres, so fair play there. This is going to be interesting to watch. I've seen a lot of racing happen at Blanchimont, and sometimes it doesn't necessarily go too well, but I'm sure we're going to see some incredible racing with these cars. I always find that GT suits Spa. It's one of the best tracks that they see. I don't know what it is about it. I don't know if you can sort of shed some light on that, Ed, or what your thoughts are, but it's something about GT cars at Spa that just work. And I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it is. It's a really good track, isn't it? Because you're at the very point where you have a lot of downforce, but you still can't fully rely on it. You need to have the mix of your mechanical grip and the downforce you have available to you. And like you mentioned, yeah, GTE cars and GT3 cars are really good for racing around here because, well, you can easily fit them side by side, can't you? Whereas if you're in other cars, say like Formula One cars, they struggle a lot through the middle sector with the dirty air, whereas you can use the mechanical grip a bit more through the middle sector. You do churn through your tyres, but then you're right close again. All the flat out sections in the slipstreaming zones, as we see all the cars now just trying to make their way in. What is it looking like at the moment in this qualifying session? It's difficult to really have a full clear picture, isn't it? Because the drivers, with the long outlaps that they have, are
I think we may have lost Ed there for a brief moment. We're hopefully going to get Ed back in a few moments'
able
time.
to really make it work.
Oh no, we're Ed. We've got Ed back. Sorry, we had a bit of a moment there, Ed. We lost you for a second. But
Slight moment.
We're back.
In and out. I'm not sure what's going on. Yeah, I might have to just bash my PC a bit, get it to stop juggling along, and it'll all be right as rain. I'm sure. It was just trying to follow Yannick Lemens at the moment. I think we're following in this qualifying session. And as you mentioned, now we're getting the first flying laps, well, underway, shall I say, because the outlaps are with just over 2 minutes. They do take a little while, don't they, for the times to start coming in. But when they do, we're going to see what it will come to, won't we?
Yes, absolutely. I'm just currently on board just to make sure. Oh, look at that. So we've got, that is Jeroen, who's just put faster. Well, I say actually, as I say that, Vince Peters, he's now, we've had Robbie Janssens. They're now in the currently P1 provisionally. That's one of the fast cars. Yuri Crispian, 70. Wow, look at that. That's just under 2/10 behind at Spa. That's so close indeed. Yeah, times are really starting to fly now. This is one of the things you've got to make sure that you're really on the ball when it comes to when it comes to getting out in your qualifying session. You haven't got very long, so you've really got to make sure. I've just had a look, and if you look at the current standings there, if you look, I think that's P6. And I believe, look at the gap from Millet's and Moon's. The gap is 0.006 of a second. That's insanely close. Cedric's just gone in. He's broken up the two Porsches at the moment from P1 and P2. Look at the gap there as well. The gap is only about just over 100th of a second. Oh my word, these are going to be so close. But yeah, there's a gap there, and it's 0.006 of a second. This is going to be insane.
Yeah, this is really close indeed. As I've just seen, Senna Hilsman's asking in chat how long is qualifying. The drivers have 10 minutes to get out on track, put in an outlap and 2 fast flyers. And then that is it for their qualifying session. So 10 minutes or 2 laps. They can't do it any more than 2 laps though, so they need to really make them count.
Yes, indeed. Look at Ronald Moons, a driver that I recognise. I can't quite remember where I recognise them from, but I do recognise the name nevertheless. Currently in P7. Again, very close times. You've got, that's 200ths behind Vince Peters and a 100th in front of Ward Millet. So, yeah, like the times are going to be ever closer. 6 minutes and 45 seconds have passed in qualifying. So we've got a little bit more time. So there'll be one more lap for drivers, providing they can cross the line. So people obviously can cross the line now. They will get one more lap. If you don't cross the line before the... so say you've got till... 8 minutes and sort of 20 seconds. If you pass after that point, you will not get another lap in. I think actually the cut-off, looking at it, will probably be 7 minutes and 50 seconds. So these drivers haven't got long to make sure they want to get another lap in. Obviously, Ronald Moons will be okay. I'm just having a look at a couple of people. I don't think that they've got... I'm also actually just wondering here, Ed, if I'm seeing a lot of people that have jumped back in the pits. I wonder if they're allowed 2 laps and then that's it. That actually, I may have just answered my own question there. So we've got...
They only have 2 laps. It's only 2 laps for these drivers. It's either 10 minutes or 2 laps. And, well, we've just seen drivers coming across the line now. But has there been any improvements? Have we seen any market improvements up into position? Cedric Vouchers was not able to get up into position. But then, with this, we can see Steph Delnews in the number 19 car. Currently trying to improve, get himself up the order. In fact, I don't think we've actually seen... Have we seen our time come from Steph Delnews? Well, no, we have not. We've already had his first lap maybe invalidated by an off-track. So this is Steph Delnews' best chance to set a flyer. Comes across the line, and there's no valid time coming through for me on Steph Delnews. So another off-track. Steph will be starting all the way at the back of the field.
Not good at all, is it? That's definitely not what Steph Delnews wanted. One of the that's one of the problems, one of the only problems, I think, with Spa. One of the few that it does have is the off-tracks are such a killer here. You've got to be going through Eau Rouge, obviously what you just saw on your screen there. That's a very tricky one. To be fair, I'd might as well just lift off the entire track. Off-tracks here generally are a real pain. So you've got to be careful. And obviously that's what potentially we had with Steph Delnews there. So not ideal at all. Well, I'm just having a look, and no one is out. Actually, I tell a lie. We have Indy Storms is currently the last person out on track. I wonder, are we going to see another one of the fast racing cars that we can see? Lovely looking livery. Really love the gold and the black. It works really nicely. Are we going to see a lap time on the board? I'm just having a look. There's only 40 seconds left, so it's going to be close. I don't know if that time is actually going to be made unless they are allowed to finish their lap times. They may be allowed to finish their lap. I'm not 100% sure, but we're going to find out in about 30 seconds time as they go through. That is Stavolo, turn 16, on to the straight that isn't a straight, going through to dreaded Blanchemont. I don't know about you, Ed, but looking at sort of like track conditions, I think the track is probably in optimum enough conditions where they could probably go through. I mean, look at that commitment through Blanchimont. I don't think Blanchimont is actually too much of a problem as it could be in certain other scenarios.
Yeah, I know in the GT3 cars that I was driving, as we go to qualifying, and actually Indy Storms is not able to set the lap time because qualifying ticks over. So we're going to be getting into the race very shortly. Indy Storms was not able to set a lap time, as Porsche Sport in the chat asks, how many Porsches are there? Well, there are several. There are almost too many Porsches at the moment. There's quite a lot. But Robbie Jansen's currently on pole position, just ahead of Cedric Wouters, the other driver. Look how close the margins are in qualifying. Really close and exciting. We're seeing Matthias Maas starting in 4th position with Wout Mellarts in 5th. Vince Peters 6th with Yannick Lemens and Ronald Moons lining up behind him. Joran Rosmans and Jorn van den... well, that's supposed to be Jorn van den Akker, but sorry, Jorn. It's not quite working out for the overlay there. Then it's John van Lijpt in 11th, ahead of Dennis Lukes, Kenny Leibert, Christophe de Busse, Dimitri Schoofs, Obi Pittenwils, there's the Venstermans, Martin Ronsmans, and apologies to all you Belgians for the butchering of all of these names that I'm pronouncing here. And then we have, well, that says, I think that's Van Dijk, but I think that's supposed to be Cohen Van Dijk. So apologies again. Overlays having a bit of a mare with all of these names. Sven Janssens in 20th, ahead of Kobe Quad, Jan van Imp, Steph Dolnews, and Indy Storms rounding out the field. But the cars are lining up on the grid. Look at this. And Senny Husbands asked in the chat, how do we win the vouchers? Is there something you need to do for it? No, you just need to be active in chat, and different intervals in the race. We will pick a couple of lucky winners for some wonderful karting vouchers this evening. But the main focus is, of course, going to be on this race and who is going to take the victory and get 2 karting vouchers to their name. That's the real excitement, isn't it? As we're seeing, well, Robbie Janssens, he's going to be starting and leading the field behind the pace car. Look at that. Look at all of the Porsches. One Ferrari, though, on the front row. Could be trying to upset the rhythm.
Absolutely. We've actually got 2 Ferraris. You've got 1 Ferrari on the front row and 1 Ferrari on the second row. So the Ferrari's doing very, very well indeed. That is Matthias Maas, who was in P3. So yeah, the 2 Ferraris doing very, very well indeed. Breaking up this field with Cohen Van Dijk, that is the last Ferrari in P20. But yes, not too far away, and then we're going to get going. I see that Robbie Janssens, he's not letting the pace car go. He's staying right with the pace car, so we're going to see how this materializes. What is going to happen? Obviously, he's actually backed off a little bit now, but we're 1 corner away from getting ready for the Extreme Kart Special Event. 1 hour at Spa Francorchamps. We are just about to get ready to go. When is Robbie going to go? I think he's already gone, and that is it. Green flag has been waved, and off we go for 1 hour's worth of racing. Yuri Crispin, he potentially was actually going to make a move. I thought he was going to make a move up the inside. He decides against it. Obviously, decides to try and send it on his teammate. Probably not the best idea going through into turn 1 of a 1 hour race. But Robbie Janssen, look at that. The time has already gone up to half a second. Cedric, he's going to try and have to get past Yuri very, very soon. Is there going to be a move made? I think the gap, to be fair, he is close enough as they all go through Radeon for the first time. We've just had a couple of things we're going to branch back to in a second. But look at that, the top 3. What is Cedric Wouters going to do? He's very, very close indeed. Is there going to be a move made? We're going to find out in a moment. I don't think there is actually. Do you know what? He wasn't close enough. I thought he was actually going to make the move and off he went, but he hasn't. I wonder if he could have potentially lifted. Who knows? But they all go through relatively cleanly. And I tell you what, that is a very... Tell you what, Ed, that was a very, very clean start by all of the drivers. We see that potentially was a move there. I don't know, that was all I thought. I think that was Ward Melez. He was going to potentially have a move on Matthias Maas, but he decided against it. Yeah, I tell you what, Ed, that was a really, really clean start, wasn't it?
That was a really nice and clean start as Dynamics Race Simulators comes to the chat, and echoes those sentiments exactly. It's such a clean job, but we see, maybe a little bit less clean action there. That's Kobe Quad just getting involved with an incident with another fast racing Porsche further back. And was that an incident? Ward Malartz, he's fallen down the order. What has happened here is he had an incident at Puon. We saw a car just off there in the background. I'm not sure if that was what happened. We're going to see just loses the rear of the car, tries to collect it, then another snap again. We thought he was safe, but no, the Spa Francorchamps track, it bites back, doesn't it? And I think Ward Malartz has been the first to really feel the circuit working against him there. Did well to avoid getting collected, though, by all of the other cars barreling their way through that section of circuit. But as you mentioned, it was a great getaway from Robbie Janssens, and I think that was probably orchestrated between himself and his fast racing teammate Yuri Crispian, who's now under pressure a lot from Cedric Wouters. Meanwhile, there's a lot of pressure going on here from Wesley Vensterman's going look down the inside of Sven Janssens, and Sven Janssens been sent around. I think he has both of the cars moving off of the circuit. A little bit of a scrappy start to this race now further down the order, but it's still entertaining as ever. We're just going to see another replay. This is on board with only Leiber. It was actually getting spun around, and oh yeah, that's just nothing you can really do in that situation. I think it was just a little bit of an out-braking maneuver from Wesley there, and it was just unfortunate that it ended out. As Jupan Anto said, Puon, it's very dangerous on cold tyres. The drivers got through Puon just about safely, but it was a corner after that it didn't work out. Meanwhile, down the inside, look at this. Cedric Wouters, is he going to pull it off? Yes, he does. Gets across up ahead of Yuri Crispian in the Porsche. So now it's not Porsche's locking out the top two spots, sadly for Porsche Sport, but it's a Porsche and a Ferrari. And well, these Ferraris, they're certainly getting underway very quickly. They've got their tyres activated right away and putting on a big charge so far. Robbie Janssens might need to start looking in his rearview mirrors very shortly.
Absolutely. No, this is very, very true. I'm sure the things. So Cedric Wouters, he's really a man on a mission at this moment in time. Yeah, the gap is just under half a second. I wonder if that's going to come down anymore. We're going to find out in a minute. Maybe it could be the Ferrari just seems to have switched both Ferraris seem to have switched their tyres on. Maybe a little bit more. Cohen Van Dijk, he's now up into P17, so he's made up a few positions. Obviously, the other man in the Ferrari at this moment in time. But yeah, really, really close. I'm just looking at the gap. It's actually stabilised a little bit now. So I wonder if Cedric is maybe just sort of biding his time, waiting for something to happen, conserving his tyres also potentially as well. So this is one of the things he's probably used his tyres up quite a lot, trying to make sure he can get past, maybe used a bit too much of them. So now he's got to wait for them to cool down and then try and get them back. But we're going to see how that materialises and develops going forward. I'm just going to move back over to, because the other battle that is still actually raging on, this is Ward Millet and Christophe Debussy. What is going to happen going through here? Because obviously this is Ward Millet. He's going to be fighting his way back through the field. There's going to be a move potentially through Blanchimont. Not a chance there, I don't think. But is there going to be... Is there going to be a move going through into Bastop? I don't think so, because I think it might be a little bit too hard. That is Christophe, though. He is going to go defensive. So he could actually be compromising his line. But I wonder, though, that damage. Look at Ward Millet's car. He does have a bit of damage on his rear wing. That is going to hurt him in his straight line speed. So what he really needs to do, I suppose, is almost try and sit behind Christophe and not actually fight him. Try and catch up with the guys if he can ahead, so that then they can move up. I'm just going to actually move up as well. We've got Jean Van Liep. That's going to go. I thought it was going to be side by side. They're going up through Arouge. It still could be side by side going through Upper Arouge. Oh my goodness, what is going to happen here? And it just about comes up, but that's Jean Van Acker. He's going to go he went for the switchback going through up Eau Rouge, and he's actually done it. The move is just about to be made. You'll see it just switch on the timing screens, but look at this. We've got Geran Ronsmans that's going to try and have a look as well. They're still going to go side by side into Lacombe, 7, 8, and 9. And I don't think, look at that. That is John Van Acker from JWS Motorsport. What a move through there. He set that up, Ed, all the way before Eau Rouge. What a move that was there.
That was brilliant. I think that could be a candidate for the best overtake this evening from Jorn van den Akker there. Brilliant job just to set that move up, put off Van Lijpt a little bit through Blanchimont and was able to capitalise, take advantage and make the passing manoeuvre up into Les Combes. Great stuff so far in these opening 3 laps. We are, how many minutes are we into this 1 hour race? Just gone, I think, 6 minutes now, so it's going to keep hotting up, I am sure. Following this little fight, though, Ward Millet's now still carrying that damage. There's no fast repairs available in this race, so Ward will basically be trying to stick it out till the end and trying to take any sort of solace they can in the fact that while they had that damage earlier on, they did qualify very well. They know they have good consistent pace, but will they be able to pull it off with the damage? Because sometimes in iRacing, a little bit of damage like that, it might not look like a lot, but it can make the cars perform in very unpredictable ways on iRacing.
Yes, that's one. That's very, very true indeed. But look at that warmer lights. It's not holding him up at all. He's really onto the back of Dennis. Luke is his next victim on his radar in P11. So he is really storming through the field, absolutely as fast as his car can go. We've just had a move, a position here. I'm going to try and get a replay of this. This is Cohen Van Dijk, and this is on, I believe, Obi Pittenville's. That is, going to be a switchback going through into the bus stop. I think Obi went a little bit wide and went a bit too deep into the bus stop chicane. But he makes the move stick, or does he? Yes, he does. Although, as I say that, Obi's really not trying to give up the position, but he does. So look at that. Obi Pittenfields does have to give up the position to P17. So yeah, Cohen Van Dijk is now up into 17th place. A great move there indeed, but this is another look for Ward Millett. He is not holding back, is he? He really wants these positions, and he wants them fast. So what is going to happen here? I've actually just looked down. We've got Steph Del News as well. He's just made a move on, that was, well, I don't know, but it looked like someone locked up there. He's just made a move going through into, that's turn 7, 8, and 9. That is Martin Bronson's. But that is the move there. These guys are basically going to quickly switch straight back to the Ward and Luke battle, because what is going to happen here, these guys have been driving and look to be side by side going through turn 10 and 11, and they're going to go into the dreaded pull on. This is what happened with Ward Millett's first time out. This is where he got caught out on that opening lap. Has he done that again? I think his tyres are warmed up, so he shouldn't have the issue now. But there was a move up ahead though as well that looked to be, there's so much action, I can barely keep up. But at the moment the battle here is still raging on. But look at Christophe Debuser, obviously the person that originally, that Ward Millet's originally passed, he's now on the back as well. So these guys are racing, they're actually holding each other up. And Christophe is now wanting a piece of the action as well. And Dimitri Shivs, he's not actually far behind. So if these guys keep battling as they are, that 2.2 seconds now, which is, the 1.6 second gap, won't be that for very long.
Yeah, absolutely. The gap is, well, it's increasing and then contracting again, isn't it? You can't really gain too much, even though you're right up the bumper of the car in front going through Blanchimont. The dirty air really does affect the car. The overspeed as well means that you can't really take the same approach you take to it every single time. You need to adapt it, and sometimes drivers find that too difficult to keep right up behind. But again, Ward Millett, look at how close he's getting to the rear bumper of Dennis Lukes. He lukes to the outside of Dennis, but is he going to make it stick? No, not yet. Isn't quite able to pull it off. A bit of a lock-up, though, down the inside from Dennis, trying to hold it off. And now, oh my word, are we going to see a too-wide moment going through Blanchimont? Well, Ward's going to force the issue, isn't he? We're going to see it on board through with Christophe Debuser. Great camera angle. He pulls it off, doesn't he, Dennis? Now, Ward Millett, he's slotted back in behind. Is that going to give him the run up through the Kemmel Straight? No, he hasn't. He actually lost a lot of time giving up the position into Eau Rouge and up over the crest at Radion. Is that going to give a chance potentially for Christophe? No, not yet. Christophe taking a little more of a steady approach to things. I say that as he gets right up the rear bumper of Dennis for a moment, but no, then slots back in behind. But I'll tell you what, the action so far in these first 5 laps has been frantic, but certainly has been exciting as well to watch once more. Dennis is, well, he's not loosening up, he's locking up, isn't he? He's locking up the front tyres once more. I'm not sure if it's something with his brake bias or what, but, well, he's really not quite got the car underneath him, does he?
No, I was going to say, I was still getting distracted by your... I can't, I need a minute. Yeah, I mean, I wonder, again, it could be potential, maybe some, I don't know where this brake pressure issues, but maybe trying to move the brake balance a little bit to try and sort of stop that lock up, maybe move it even to the rear, sounds a bit, or wherever the fronts are locking, if it's front or rear, is trying to move the brake bias in the opposite direction, just to try and help with that a little bit. You don't want to do it too much, otherwise you'll upset the balance of the car itself. But yeah, Ward Millett, he is just gone at this point. The gap is already a second ahead. So he's really sort of put the hammer down, and off he goes. So this battle is now really sort of extended. Obviously, Dimitri Schutz, he's actually pulled the gap down. 1.2 seconds is the gap for him, but he hasn't really been able to make any more positions other than that. Going to move up to, we've got a battle going on here that you can, we're just about to jump onto now. Martin Ronsmans. And this is ahead of him, Cohen Van Dijk. So what is going to happen here? There's going to be a move potentially into bus stop. Is Cohen, is he going to have to defend? He thinks about it, but then decides against it. Obviously not too far behind. Don't know who that was behind. That was Bjorn Van Imp, who had a bit of a moment there into the braking zone. The one thing, the Porsche is so good on the brakes, but you've got to be, at the same time, so careful, because it's very, very dangerous indeed, or it can be. very dangerous. Stealth on News, though, is actually the leader of this train, so he hasn't actually got anyone ahead of him. So this is going to be a slight concern when it comes down to the Kemmel Straight, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I think the camera angle that would be really good for this, which I'm really quite excited to use this, is going to be a gearbox cam. We're actually going to watch what happens all the way down. Actually, no, I'm going to interrupt myself because we've got... That is Ronald Moons that looked to be... I think that was Ronald Moons,
Just got ahead.
Yeah, Ronald Moons has got ahead of Yannick Lemon, so we're actually going to move. So the position was had there going into... That is going into the Lacombe complex. So yes, Ronald Moons inherits P6. A very, very good move indeed. I'm actually going to see if I can find a replay of that, because that looked to be... I don't know if better yet, but it looked to be a bit of a lock-up there. But let's have a look at the replay. What happened here? So side by side, going to go through into turn 7. Last of the late breakers, Porsche versus Porsche. And I think, to be fair, obviously Ronald Moons kept it around the outside for turn... I mean, talking about limits of track, that was about as limits of the track as you could be, I think, going through turn 8. Because any more than that, and... well, I think we all know... Yeah, we all know how that would have ended, I think. But no, very, very good car control. What a great move indeed from Ronald Moon. Fantastic stuff. And he's pulled out a bit of a gap already. Gap is 0.6 of a second. So he's a bit... Again, another man on a mission. He wants to... I mean, the gap is 5.5 seconds from the top 5. So Ronald Moon's to Vince Peters. Gap is 5.56 seconds as it currently stands. Is that going to come down? We'll have to keep an eye on it, because... 30 minutes gone in this race, a lot can happen in the next 45 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you mentioned, 15 minutes gone into this race, and I think in a little while we might be able to reveal the winner in chat for the first little giveaway we can do. The first vouchers we can give away will be revealed. So keep typing away in chat and we'll let you know who is the lucky individual.
We will indeed. We'll indeed looking at the battle here as well. So hasn't really subsided with Jeroen Ronsmans and Jean Van Lip. So these two are really... The gap is there or thereabouts. It's one of those things, it's not close enough that neither driver can really they're not having to defend or attack, although I'm actually going to go through, we're going to see this may actually be a little bit different this time because the gap is now just under 0.2 of a second. To what to the run? The run that Ronsman's got was absolutely incredible. He's already going to make the move. He's having to force Jean Van to go defensive already. Going on the camera strip. What is going to happen? Let's see if we can get a better camera angle. Look at that. That's going to be side by side again. Who is going to be last of the late breakers again? Porsche versus Porsche this time around, but we're focusing on a move from the inside. No, transitions. This is the problem with going through into Lacombe. You've got to transfer to inside, then to outside, then back to inside again. So it's very, very crucial where you're going to make the move. Is there going to be a move to turn 10? He's going to try and go late on the brakes. That camera angle made it look very, very, I think, a lot closer than it actually was. Both drivers seem to go okay. I think one thing we can probably agree on it is Jean Van knows that Ronsmans is there and wants the move, because he's close enough. Is he going to try and make a move? He had a small look. I think he's just putting his car in a position where he's not going to make the move, but he's trying to put it into a position where he's going to try and actually, I suppose, essentially try and put John Van Liemp off. It's probably his best thing.
It's all about, isn't it? Just trying to set up the move long in advance, piling on the pressure as well. It's really it's difficult to sort of probably put into words, but when you get into that middle sector and you have the constant awareness of a car right behind you all the way through, you are prone to making a few little mistakes here and there, as we see Johan Van Imp try and have a look around the outside of Koen Van Dijk, but nothing going on there. The Ferrari stays ahead of the Porsche for now. The Porsche, though, looks everywhere, isn't he? Damage, though, on the right rear-hand side of that wing and of that Porsche. It's going to really struggle now onto this section and actually could be under pressure potentially from Kenny Liebert. But meanwhile, we're seeing changes up in front. I think Johan Ronsmans, he was trying to make a move there on Johan Van Liep, but Johan Van Liep, I think, might have shut the door on him, and that forced the Porsche off the track. Let's have a look and try and see how it goes, how this move materializes. So Johan Ronsmans around the outside, then looks to the inside, tries to sell the dummy, but just locks up, isn't able to pull the move off. If it was able to do it, though, that would have been an absolutely brilliant little dummy he sent, but just on the brakes, it's so difficult in these GTE cars to pull it off, as I think that it's a slowdown for Johan Ronsmans there, just getting passed by Christophe Debussy coming out of La Source.
I tell you what, if that was a move, that would have been absolutely incredible. That really would have been a good move indeed. Look at that. Steph Del News now is going to try and make the move on Sven Janssen for P15. So again, still moving up is Steph Delnews. He's not going to be holding up anytime soon. He's got a bit of a gap, 8 seconds to Dimitri Schufs. So he's going to want to try and get past Sven Janssens as quick as he can and then see if he can catch up in the remaining 45 minutes, actually 43 minutes as well, as he just takes off all that side by side. They're going to go through. That is Martin Ronsmans and Koen van Dijk. I think, to be fair, the move was made for a brief moment, and then it all sort of like has settled back in. So, yeah, Martin Ronsmans, he's really wanted... Oh, that was someone... Someone just had a massive lock-up and got off. I saw a lock-up, but I don't think... No, it's just a bit of a
I think that might have just been Ronsmans with another lock-up, but I think he got away with it and is still right up behind Steph Delnews here.
I mean, that's been very, very close indeed. So we've got the battle up ahead, just gone out his shot as well, like I said. So you've got Janssens and Delnews, and then, yeah, Ronsmans and Van Dijk. These guys are really fighting. And this is a 4-way battle for P17. So all that was side by side then as well. What's going to happen here? That's Sven Janssen. He's gone wide. He's going to allow Steph Delnews up the inside. No, he's not, because he's actually going to have now be for the outside going through into turns 13 and 14. What's going to happen going through Stavolo? I think all the squares on the door at the moment. No positions can be made here. Is there going to be a run down going... Actually, do you know what? I've actually just realised this, to be fair, Ed. If these guys keep battling as they are, but as I say that, Sven Janssen is going to try and go around the... He's actually already passed him going through into Blanchimont. Oh, is it going to be side by side through Blanchimont? Don't do this. This is not going to work, guys. You've got to be nice and easy. Oh, look at that. Sven Janssen just about gets the move done. To be fair, I don't think Martin Ronsmans had... is that going to be 3 wide? That's potentially going to be 3 wide going through back here. What is going to happen here? 2 by 2, no arc style. Or that's not Bjorn Van. That is Bjorn Van Im. He's made a move up to the inside of Bostop, so he's still now ahead, back in the 17th. So for a brief moment he was in 18th. Now he's back up to 17th. I was actually going to say that this battle here could turn into a 6-way battle, but Steph Delnews has actually pulled already 0.8 of a second. There's another lockup from Bjorn Van Im. Oh my goodness, Ed, I can't keep up. And look at that. That is, I believe, Koen van Dijk. He's now a bit of a slowdown. So he's now potentially got to defend from Martin Ronsmans. Oh my goodness.
Ooh, yeah, I want to see that little overtake though going into the bus stop chicane before we, just as we came live with them again, just to see how it all happened. But it seems that I think they're going to keep fighting all the way down the not quite Kemmel Straight, now the straight Kemmel Straight here into Les Combes. Further back, we're going to see the 2 Porsches going wheel to wheel. Gunny Leiber looking to the inside, but the slipstream, as soon as he dips out of it, isn't able to put it off. Lock up there, up in front from either the Porsche or the Ferrari. And, well, this 4-way fight is looking ever so tasty, isn't it? And what has something happened to Sven Janssens?
Sven Janssens has gone off. Look at that. He's just in the back of shot there. So he's had a moment.
Well, he was fighting with Steph Delnews, wasn't he?
He was, yes.
Rightly.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the gap was about 0.8 of a second, so I wonder if anything happened. We've actually got a bit further up the field as well. We've got Jeroen Ronsmans. This battle is still going on. This is the battle for P12 at this moment in time. And we've got Jens Wolsen and Christophe de Busa. Dimitri Schufs, so he's really caught up actually with the back of this pack. So he's done exactly what he wanted these guys to do. These guys are they're still fighting. I don't know what he's flashing lights for. Could be to say, stop it, guys, maybe work together. I don't know. But at the moment, Christophe de Busa, he wants Ronsman's position. He wants that P12. And he wants it sooner rather than later. But yeah, let's have a look at what happened to Sven Janssen. It says he went off track. Was it a bit of late... Oh, a bit of overspeed, I think, carried through. Just wasn't expecting to go a bit slow. Luckily, keeps it all on track by the looks. Well, I say on track. He keeps it in a straight line. And, I mean, to be fair, as rejoins go, that was the best of a bad situation there. I think he made... Yeah, that wasn't too bad, actually. So fair play.
Absolutely. And as we did tick over 20 minutes into the race, 10 laps gone, I will say that Senna Hilsmans is the lucky recipient of an Extreme Kart voucher. So if you go to Extreme Kart on their Facebook page and send them a little message, we can get that sorted out for you. You can be the lucky winner of a little voucher going your way.
Indeed, well done to Sven there. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Oh, this is going to be a move. How this is Ward Malets. He's going to go with John Van Acker. What is going to happen? It's going to be side by side again. Last of the late breakers again. Porsche versus Porsche. We're going to be saying that a lot. Don't you worry. Who is going to be the one out on top? It is Jon van der Acker. He has decided that he still wants P8, and off he goes. Normal business has resumed, but he definitely knows that Ward Malets wants that position. He's going to have another look going through into turn 10. Decides against it, so he's just putting his car in a position trying to upset Van der Acker. But he can't quite do it at the moment. He's actually lost a bit of time, though, because of that. So this is one of the things. As much as you want to try and upset your opponent and put them out of position, you've still got to be careful. You can't keep doing it in position because you're going to lose time. And I'm just having a look. Jean Van the Emp. Look at that gap. It's a second. It's actually just ticked under a second. Keep an eye out for that, because if these guys keep battling, then that time is going to come down, and it's going to come down very, very quickly. Because obviously, Warmelets, he wants these positions, but obviously, Jon Van Ack, he's not going to give it up. He's not going to give it absolutely, and to be fair, I don't blame him. A P8 position around something like Spa, I would not want to give it up at all. But yeah, got to play the long game here. No, it is a sprint, but yeah, do you want to lose too many positions? There's always a time and a place where you want to overtake. We're actually going to get, this is Wesley Ventimans, who's just had a bit of an off track. Where's this gone? Oh, I'm not too sure what happened there. A hardware failure or something? Steering goes? I'm not too sure what happened there, but unfortunately he is retired back to the pits. Not ideal. But again, is a good move going to be made from Warmelets? No, but he's wanting this position so badly. But he can't quite find a way past. And all the time, Jean Van Liem, I would say he's catching up. The gap is sort of holding its own at the moment. The gap is holding its own. This is going to be a battle here, though. This is going to be something. Oh, there's a bit of contact there. That was a bit of contact from Kenny Libert and Martin Ronsmans. So he's going to... Oh, I thought there was going to be a cutback there. It looked like Kenny Libert, he wanted to make a move right at the very last minute. But Koen van Dijk is, at the moment, leading this train in P7. Oh, that's a slowdown now for Martin Ronsmans. He's got a slowdown. That's not good at all. That's really messed up. All that sort of hard work for the first 23 minutes of this race, that's really messed it up. So big shame there. And he's now under pressure, or he will be under pressure potentially, from Kenny Libert.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really close, isn't it? All throughout the field. We're going to see exactly, though, how this is going to materialise. Martin Ronsmans there in the slipstream. Does he get a good run over the crest? Radion is closing down, isn't he, on Koen van Dijk? The Ferrari, though, does have a lot of straight line speed it can use to its advantage, but has no slipstream, and closing down moment by moment, meter by meter into the braking zone. He's able to hold on just for now, but will have to withstand quite a lot of pressure going into this middle sector, where it's all about looking after the tyres and really being able to use all of the downforce you can, all the grip available to you, which is something where the Porsche does excel. It's really powerful, isn't it, at the moment, as you alluded to at the start of the broadcast, Dan, isn't it? It's one of the most favourable GTEs to be driving at the moment. It certainly seems that they're getting the most out of the Martin Ronsmans, currently in 18th place, looking to make it one better, going down now through Huon or double gauche, double left, trying to hit up both apexes very nicely indeed. Gap still remaining 0.3 of a second, but slight mistake there. Martin Ronsmans losing a lot of time going into sort of the Fania chicane or Piff Path. All of these corners have several different names. It's easy to make a mistake here and there. And then, of course, coming out here of, I believe this is Stavolo. There's so many different corner names. It's very hard for someone like me who has no idea what they're talking about half the time to make heads or tails of this track. But it's a beautiful track. It's been providing great racing so far. And I think I might be seeing some further up, as well as I think Dennis Lukes is closing in on, oh no, he's being closed in on actually by your own Ronsmans now.
But I say this gap is really starting to come down. As you say, the gap is just under 0.3 of a second, and it's going to come down a lot more than that. Look at the gap already coming down. Now you can probably see it's actually going to probably, if a move is going to be made, it's definitely going to be at the end, going through after the Kemmel Straight in through turn 7, 8, and 9. What is going to happen here? I mean, like I say, it's not going to be too long before we find out who is going to be. To be fair, actually, just look. Obviously, Jeroen Ronsmans, he's actually got a bit of damage, but it's not phasing him at the moment. He's going to try and go up the inside and go through into Pouon. Does he quite do it? He's on the outside for turn 8, inside for turn 9. Good move indeed. Done and dusted. Jeroen Ronsmans, he moves up into P11. Only 2 places down from where he started in P9. He is having to defend, though, from Dennis Luke. He's not wanting to give up this position too easily, and I do not blame him. But
meanwhile, Ronsmans is having a look. Is he on Van Dijk? He got very close into Lecom again. It was really, really exciting to see that on the relative. It was ever so close with the Ferrari. It just had that extra little bit of straight line speed. Again, it's the difference between these two cars. Porsche quick in the corners, Ferrari quick on a straight line and with acceleration out the corners. But I think maybe when it just gets to the top end, potentially as well with how the cars have been set up, is that Martin Ronsmans really begins to close down and puts a lot of pressure now, just a tenth separating them as they look into Martin Ronsmans. He's going to try and look down the inside. That's not really a move that is on the table, sending it down the inside of Poo, and it's not a heavy enough braking zone to do that. And once more, closing on in, trying to stay closer this time through the Fanya chicane. No mistakes being made at this time. So then as they come out through this right-hander here on to this little back straight, will it be one that Martin Ronsmans can make the move, potentially putting on a lot of pressure into Blanchimont and then sending it down the inside into the bus stop?
We're going to see what is going to happen here. I think it's depends on the run you can get through Blanchimont. The run seemed to be okay, though. The gap has gone up, though. 0.3 of a second is the gap between the two. So it did actually go down. Obviously, this is the problem, though. Is when you're this close to a car, even in a GT car, even in a GTE, it can be really, really tricky to try and gain the advantage. And it can be really tricky to actually make or keep time up going through someone like Blanchimont. Purely because you lose aero. I know that the GT cars in comparison don't necessarily generate as much aero as you'd find with an LMP2 or any other open wheel, but aero nevertheless. So that's one of the things you really have to be careful of, is you lose a lot of downforce. Pouon is another one. So going through obviously the double left, that's one, and Blanchimont obviously is definitely the biggest one. Eau Rouge to a certain extent. Obviously again, you're going so fast, it gets negated a fact by the car compressing actually we go through into the corner. But yeah, it's one of the things you've got to be careful of. So, and that gets also negated by the fact that obviously Koen Van Dijk, he hasn't actually got a toe. So that's how it's really, really close. And both these guys are actually pretty evenly matched, I think. With what they can actually do and what they're able to do, these guys are really evenly matched.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really close as we see. Oh, hello, Chaz. Chaz Joy Cop Media in the chat, asking if we can see the race time instead of laps. And I'm sure we can do that. Dan's probably going to beaver away in the background to get that up on our screens. Plenty more drivers coming on in. Flero in the chat saying hi, guys. Hello, Flero. And if you're just joining us here this evening, all of you in the chat, if you are in Belgium, are eligible to be in with a chance of winning a set of, or winning a Extreme Car voucher. So if you want to keep typing away, we'll draw another lucky winner later on in the race. We've just recently drawn one, and that was Senna Hilsman's in the chat, the lucky recipient of the first one. We'll have the second one at a later stage in this 1 hour race. So keep it tuned. And if you are enjoying all the coverage we're bringing you here on Simracersworld TV of this very special Extreme Car event, then just give the stream a cheeky little like. Maybe subscribe to Simracersworld TV if you're enjoying it and want to follow more of what action we can bring to you live here on YouTube or wherever it is you have tuned in this evening. That would be greatly appreciated. Meanwhile, though, as we've already seen in the chat, who was that sent the message? It was actually seeing that we're seeing a close moment there. Senna Hilsman's actually between Robbie Janssens and Cedric Wouters, closing in now within about 0.6 of a second. So the battle for the lead starting slowly but surely to hot up as well. The inside tyres and the brakes start to hot up over the Ferrari. Koen Van Dijk losing a little bit of traction out the corner, though, was Martin Ronsmans. So it's all swapping around here, there, and everywhere as Bjorn Van Imp is the first driver to come on into the pits.
Yes, indeed. Something's just popped up. Sven Janssens and Kenny Lebert have both crashed, according to iRacing. So I'm intrigued to see. We've got a replay of this here. We're just quickly dart away. What happens here? Actually, oh no, that was that was Sven Janssens just got, oh dear, and there's been a traffic jam. I've never seen that at Spa. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that was just a little bit too aggressive on the power, and unfortunately, that was the move done and dusted. Yeah, not ideal. Yeah, Martin Ronsmans and Koen Van Dijk, these moved up. Oh, a bit of a lock up there for Koen Van Dijk there. So, yeah, yes, that was unfortunate. Unfortunate by the two. There was obviously no. Definitely, obviously, non-intentional. It was just a little bit aggressive on the power, and the move was obviously made, done, and dusted. But look at that. It is going to be Kobe Kouad. We haven't seen him on stream at the moment, but Kenny Lebert, he's actually had to concede the position. So, obviously, potentially this damage is really starting to hurt him now, especially with that additional front-end damage that he received from the incident actually, no, sorry, that was Sven Janssens actually getting back by. So, apologies, that's not Kobe Kouad. So, yes, Sven Janssens actually getting the move back on Kenny Lebert. Is he going to keep that position back? Both these cars obviously suffering probably, I wouldn't say extensive damage, but damage nevertheless. So they've got to be obviously a little bit careful as well. They're going to be losing probably, maybe half a second a lap. I think with the damage that they have, maybe a little bit more as it's Spa. We're going to have to see how this materialises. Kenny Lebert, he's going to try and get the cutback, going to go through into turns 40, or what's turns 15, going through into Stablo. Doesn't quite get the move stuck. But then what's going to happen here? Is the move going to be made on going through into Blanchimont? What's the gap going to be? It's just about... Actually, I'm just going to quickly go over because that is Martin Ronsmond. He's gone wide again. He's literally carbon copied what he tried to do on Koen van Dijk. Well, he carbon copied what he happened about probably 4 laps ago, would you say, Ed? We're going to try and get a replay of that.
Yeah, exactly. Just locks up on the brakes, doesn't he? I think it's both of the fronts actually locking up. So usually it's just one or the other. But look, both of them lock on. He trams line straight forward, really outbrakes himself, trying to get through head of Van Dijk. But there's no chance there if you're making mistakes like that. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, battle hotting up now. Robbie Janssens with Cedric Wouters right behind him, piling on a lot of pressure. This is for the lead of the race, but also most importantly, the 2 extreme kart vouchers. The leader gets 2, second place gets 1, and third place gets 1. So this is a chance potentially for Cedric to double his money if he can close back up and make an overtaking maneuver. But as you mentioned, I'm seeing quite a lot of drivers talking in the chat. Hendrik de Grave saying the only good thing about Belgium is Spa. I disagree with that. You've got Zolder. It's a lovely place. There's lovely places in Belgium. I am sure of it. Plus, you of course have the other great Belgian circuit, of course, of the Extreme Kart indoor venue, which I'm certain is up there with some of the best circuits in Belgium.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was about to say you've got a lot of stuff. You've got a lot of stuff good in Belgium. I've just actually had a look, and Koen van Dijk, for some reason, it said that Koen van Dijk has crashed, which obviously is not what we want. We've actually got Indy Storms as well that's had a bit of a moment, so we're going to see here. This is again going into bus stop. Oh, Carl looks a bit unsettled going into the braking zone. And yep, carbon copy of that was a... Oh, okay, that's interesting. Obviously, that would be why he doesn't want the off track. Luckily, there are no cars behind. And we have, this is Koen van Dijk. Oh, just lose it going through in turn 10. Is there contact? No, there is not. Does well to actually release the brakes and roll forward. It's one of the only times when you can release the brakes. One of the only times when you can release the brakes. So, fair play from Koen van Dijk. So, yeah, that's a bit unfortunate. That was a lot of time loss as well. That was the really sort of poor thing. There was a lot of time loss there. As we see, that is Indy Storms obviously is in the pits and he's back out the gap though. Look at Cedric Wouters. He's really made his... I don't know whether it's his tyres or whether the car's responding well to this track temp at this time. I don't know, but I mean, Wouters is just on a mission at the moment. He's really on it. Really, really on it. So fair play.
Yeah, he really is. He's closing down. He's putting a lot of pressure on Robbie Janssens at the moment. Maybe just biding his time as well, as we do have a little while. Plenty of drivers coming into the pits as well at this stage. A few drivers coming out of the pits. So we're starting to see the first and, well, final pit stops for some of these drivers so far. I'll be wondering as well when Robbie Janssens and Cedric Wouters will be coming on in, or what their strategies will be. Is Cedric going to come in a little bit earlier, maybe get some clear air, or is he going to try and rely on maybe a little bit of slipstream for as long as he can to save some fuel? Let's see how that will work out though, because Cedric Wouters, we know how quick he is. We know he's got the advantage of the slipstream, but will he be able to use that to get ahead and then also build the gap? Because, well, at Spa, the slipstream is very mighty indeed, as both drivers now come on into the pits. So as well does Yuri Cuspian. So all of the drivers in the top 3 make that top 4, make that top 5. I think everyone's going to be coming into the pits now following the leader and figure out what will go on in this little section here. Cedric Wouters, look at that. He's going to be going to his pit stall right at the end. In fact, some drivers already gone on the inside of the pit lane. Different strategies going on. They both come to a stop at almost identical points at the exact same time. Gonna find out which one will come out on top, if they're going to be able to fuel a little bit less to get the jump and then maybe risk fuel saving till the end, get the track position. Don't have opportunities for drivers. As Cedric Wouters, as he's jumped Robbie Janssens, the Ferrari is now ahead of the Porsche.
Yeah, I tell you what, that was fair play deal. We're just going to go back on board to what was happening there. So yeah, look at that, Cedric Wouters. So Look at the fuel save. The fuel save was so... I reckon that's what he was doing towards the end. He may have actually had a bit more pace in there where he could have actually made up some more position. He could have maybe got past and off he went. But, I mean, the fuel save has helped. Whether it's because... I think, to be fair as well, the Ferrari tends to be a little bit better on fuel generally. But even so, I think, fair play. Cedric Wouters is really... That was a really, really solid move. So, honestly, yeah, fair play. But, I mean, it's not over yet, though. Look at Robbie Janssens. He's less than half a second away. He's actually closing the gap already. So, this is definitely not over yet. We've still got, as you can see, we've got just coming onto the clock, 23 minutes remaining. It's just ticked over to that, in fact. So, 23 minutes left, and it's going to be, I can imagine, a very long 23 minutes for both of these drivers here. More so, probably, I can imagine, for Cedric Wouters.
Yeah, absolutely. Cedric Wouters was able to jump up in front just through the pit lane, had a very good pit entry, and then got on the race very nicely indeed for his pit stall. That could be saving. Meanwhile, look at that. Are they going to go 3 wide? No, the Porsche on the inside then backs out of that nice, lovely blue Hoonigan car. But they're all closing in on circuit, aren't they? They've had nearly 40 minutes in this race so far, and we're still seeing this another 4 wide pack fight. This is, well, for, I believe, 10th, or no, for 11th position, sorry. This, like, on the brakes, a slight lock up there from Christophe de Busse. Is that going to be costly, though, going into the section? No, he's able to stay in front as they go through No Name down the hill, plunging into Pouon. Seeing the backwards view from Jon van den Akker, hearing that lovely Porsche RSR naturally aspirated engine scream its siren song. What a lovely sounding machine. I'm so glad that we've got a grid all full of them, haven't we? Because it's a beautiful sounding machine.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. It's one of those things where, Porsche is my favourite car to drive. It's pretty much my favourite car to drive in the actual sim. I absolutely love it. Every time I can drive it, I absolutely do. And yeah, to have a full grid of them, it's fantastic. I will not be complaining at all. But look at that, John Van Liamp. He's going to want to try and make a move on Dimitri Schufs of the, as you say, the Hoonigan car. Great looking livery. It suits really well on the Porsche. So what is going to happen? He's actually, I'm just looking. Dimitri Schufs is closing up to Christophe de Busse as well. Christophe de Busse. So this is going to be a 3-way battle potentially. Oh, not too sure what happened there. We're back though. But is that the move stuck? Yes, it is indeed. So John Van Liamp, he makes the move on Dimitri Schufs. So he is now up into P13 with the next man on the list is Christophe de Busse. So he has got some good pace at the moment. I'm just going to move further down the field because this gap's actually spread out a little bit, 7/6 tenths per second. So at the moment it's opened up. That probably won't be the same, I'm sure, for the remainder of the race. But look at Kenny Lebert. He is going to have a move on. This is Sven Janssen, so there is no love lost between these two still as it goes forward. What is going to happen? I don't quite know. And again, I tell you what, this may actually be, depending if the gap stays and the gap continues to be any closer, this is going to be another very, very long 20 minutes for Sven Janssen because he's having to go defensive. Personally, I don't know it, but I probably wouldn't go defensive because that's going to compromise the line exactly as it has done. So Kenny Lebert's just gone, thank you very much. He's just gained 1/10 of a second without having to really do anything. So yeah, this is where you've got to pick your opportunities to not only attack, but pick your opportunities to defend as well. Because otherwise, you end up costing yourself more time than I think sometimes you realise.
Yeah, they definitely are. They're costing each other a lot of time when they start fighting a little bit like this. And as I see Sam White in the chat asking if we can show us what cars people are in on the left-hand side, I'd say we could do that, but there is only 3 Ferraris. The rest of the field is Porsche, so it might be easy just to let you know who isn't in the Porsche. And that is, of course, our race leader, Cedric Wouters, in the Ferrari. Matthias Maas in 4th position in the Ferrari as well. And then Cohen van Dijk, the privateer, also in the Ferrari. These are the drivers to watch out for if you want to see something that isn't a Porsche. But I'll tell you what, I love the Porsche. I don't mind seeing a grid full of them. It's very nice indeed. Look at that. See, actually a different livery there that we're seeing. A nice Red Bull weird grayscale camo livery kind of thing. It's quite an intriguing looking paint job that Cohen van Dijk's running, but well, let's have a look here, see what's happened here with, this is a Porsche, this is Indy Storms. Oh, just losing the car. Oh, and into the wall. Oh, that's a nasty hit.
Yeah, not ideal. Not ideal. That's going into Lacombe. I think the exit at turn 8 where the move has happened. So not ideal, as you say. But look at that, Kenny Lebert as well. This battle is still going on. These guys not wanting to give this up at all, and neither driver wants to go up again. Sven Jansen's going a little bit wide. That's actually going to compromise his line quite heavily. The gap is now down to, less than 0.2 of a second. This is the gap. Just come on the battle box, as you can see, in the bottom right corner of your screen. Look at that. Oh, this is going to be so close. We're going to be jumping to these guys a lot because this is going to be the battle for the next 19 minutes. I can absolutely guarantee you, because these guys are really going to want to make the move. I'm actually looking as well. Look at LeBear. He's actually pulling away. Janssen is pulling away from LeBear, even though LeBear's got a toe. That's intriguing. So obviously the damage that LeBear has is obviously more than Sven Janssen's, which is ironic because Sven Janssen's was the one that had the accident and the one that spun into Kenny LeBear. So I think Kenny LeBear definitely got the short stick, drew the short straw there. But look at that! This is a battle going to go through. That's very, very close indeed. But these guys really giving each other just about enough room, no more, no less. So Christophe de Busa holding off. That was John Van Leer and Dimitri Shivs. He's wanting to get into this action as well. Can't quite do it though. He's just a little bit too far behind, but he's just probably wanting these guys to battle, and he's going to try and make a move if something comes up. I'm sure he's not going to wait for a second invitation. But at the moment, all seems to be it's almost, isn't it, Ed? We've said this before on the broadcast that we've done together. It's the calm before the storm now, isn't it? It's this last sort of 15 minutes is where it all really kicks off.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a quick follow of this fight. In fact, actually, if possible, can we have a little bit of a look at the replay, Dan, of them going into Les Combes? Because that was a really intense fight that I think we just caught the tail end of, which saw Christophe de Busa coming out on top of the fight in 12th position. But maybe he won't be staying in 12th position for very long, as, well, Jean Van Lijmt very close up behind the number 10 Porsche, right up behind the 2, 3, 5. Look at this, closing down, going throh Blanchimont now. Is there a move opening up into the bus stop? No, it's being covered off. He's going to have to go to the outside, hard onto the brakes. Is he going to have the overlap there for the inside of the left-hander? No, he's not. So he has to slot back in behind. And I think, again, we're going to see yet more action into Les Combes once more. If Dimitri Schufs is smart about this, he's going to put himself in a good position coming out of La Source. Close down into the Eau Rouge Radion complex, but not overtaken instead as they crest the hill. Make sure he gets a good run, make sure he's not held up with the dirty air. Dicks his lines, and he could eventually, with the double slipstream, be able to take both of them here. So following on board now with Dimitri in the fast racing team, now up to Johan Van Lijmt. Closing in the slipstream. Meter by meter, second by second. He's going to have a look to the outside, hard onto the brakes there. He's going to try and have the overlap, but look at that. The speed that's taken into the corner by Christophe up in front allows him to just about hold on to the position coming out of Malmedy as well. No chances for a position, especially if, Christophe de Busa goes as defensive as he does, but maybe a little bit too defensive there. Locks up onto the brakes, and they're going to go side by side into no-name corner around the outside. The number 10 car has to concede the position. For a moment there, Jean Van Lijmt looked like he was threatening to take 12th position for a moment.
Yeah, we saw that, didn't we? I think it's Christophe de Busa. I think just, again, maybe sort of choosing the wrong point in which to defend. I just think it could just be that little bit too aggressive on the defensive. You don't necessarily need to, to be fair, you can have people that obviously really try and send up the inside. These guys obviously aren't there. These are really a good bunch of people that you can tell are really sort of racing hard, but racing fair as well, which is the good thing. As I said, that Christophe de Busa does need to go defensive at that particular moment in time, because otherwise I think John Van Leer, he was going to want to make a move up the inside going through into Stavelot. But he can't quite do it. And again, the gap now extends as well. So the gap is now 0.25 of a second. And it is coming down quite quickly, as you can see in the bottom right corner of your screen. Is there going to move into bus stop for the second time around? Roll reversal. Exactly the same. So a carbon copy, what's going to happen last time? He's going to try exactly the same thing. But he doesn't quite. He almost backs off a little bit earlier. Exactly what he wanted to do was to upset the balance of the car. And that was, look at that. John Van Leer makes the move on... that was Christophe de Busa. A fantastic move there. Backed off a little bit. I might have actually braked, obviously, maybe forced Christophe de Busa to brake a little bit later than he probably should have done. His tyres may have been a little bit too hot from the lockouts, maybe a bit of excessive wear. But yeah, just played his cars right. Off he goes, and he's already extended the gap by half a second. So really good indeed.
Very rapid pace, isn't it, that we're seeing from John Van Lijmt now. And as we do come into the final 15 minutes of the race, I want to see all you Belgians getting some clap emojis in the chat, getting some hype going, because we are going to draw the next and I think the final draw in this little giveaway we are doing this evening on Simracersworld TV. So get the hype going, get it all excited as we see such a grandstand finish in this race as well. And I think in a little while we will be able to let you all know who is getting the second and I think final giveaway in chat this evening. Still though, while all the drivers fighting it out on track, Cedric Wouters, he's going to try and hold on, isn't he, for first position? But look at how close Robbie Janssens is now, really closing down through the bus stop section. Might be seeing Robbie Janssens getting up into the lead of the race. We're going to follow him now as he go through La Source. Porsche looking very stable and planted, but the acceleration is so strong in the Ferrari. He actually is pulling a gap with Cedric Wouters at this point, and then the cars start to even out a little bit. The slipstream favors Robbie Janssens in the Porsche as they go across the crest at Radion, closing down little by little. Are we going to see a move to the inside from Robbie Janssens? He's going to dart to the left, then he starts to the right, then goes to the left. Look at that, Cedric Wouters. He's really having to work a lot to keep the Porsche behind. The Porsche is looking everywhere it can, trying to find any gap possible, but nothing doing there. And all of those claps, very nice indeed. And I can see that it is Flero in the chat. You have won yourself a nice little extreme kart voucher. So put your real name in the chat just so we can verify when you message extreme kart on Facebook. So congratulations to Flero in the chat there.
Absolutely. I've just actually had just looking on screen. Look at that. Robbie Janssens, he actually went a little bit wide going through no name and lost almost 0.3 of a second. So I wonder if he's actually if he's using too much of his tyres up. I wonder if he's really starting to use his tyres, trying to get past. He's going to have to come back, let them cool down again, and then he's going to try and go back onto them. So, I mean, really at this moment in time, I mean, yeah, who knows what's going to happen? We've got just under, or just over, I should say, 10 minutes left. Can the gap come down from, at the moment, 0.6 of a second? I don't really... Well, we're going to find out, like I said, in less than 10 minutes. But looking through as well, the next nearest battle, the next closest battle between cars and between drivers is, again, our faithful friend who's been on stream quite a lot at this moment in time, Dimitri Schuf, as well as Christophe Debusa. So these two still want to swap positions as much as they can for P13 and P14, respectively. But look at that. John Van Lian, he has just disappeared at this point. He's decided to put that he wants to just crack on, and he's pulled 1.5 seconds off of these two drivers. So he's really got the hammer down at these later stages of the race. And look at the timing tower up ahead as well. You'll see it just about to change. Look at that, 0.7 of a second. I wonder if Robbie Janssens, I wonder if his tyres are finally gone. I wonder if he's actually used them up to try and get past him initially when we saw that little battle when they were really, really close. And I think maybe his tyres are actually, if they're really not, they're not falling off the cliff. You don't necessarily have that with GT Racing, but they're not too far away.
Yes, absolutely. And we are now into, well, just about to tick over now into the final 10 minutes of this race. Everything to play for at the top of the field. Of course, Cedric Wouters and Robbie Janssens still within a second of one another. Battles still brewing on here as well as we see, oh, a mistake there. Christophe Debusa running off the circuit at the bus stop, losing 2 positions there to Jorn van Lijpt and Jorn van den Akker, I believe. In fact, let's have a look. He just get too hard onto the brakes, locks up and goes straight on. Unfortunate, so late in the race, because that's going to be really costly to his final finishing position. And now the only cars that are within a second of one another are, well, the lead pair, aren't they? Cedric Wouters in the Ferrari, trying to build the gap, trying to run away from Robbie Janssens, who has been in hot pursuit all race long. Don't forget, Robbie Janssens put it on pole, led every single lap up until the pit stop phases when Cedric Wouters used the strategy to great effect, saved a lot of fuel behind Robbie Janssens. That meant that he took less fuel on board, or needed to take less fuel on board at the stop. And that was crucial wasn't it, in getting him up into the lead of this race.
Indeed, I'm just thinking as well. Like I've driven the Ferrari extensively. I've driven the Porsche more. I've always found that the Porsche is so sensitive with tyres. Like there is very little margin for error in terms of overheating them or scrubbing them and using too much of them. If you can actually use, so I suppose, yeah, if you can use the tyres to their advantage but not overcook them, the Porsche is so fast. Maybe this is what we're seeing, yeah, is the Ferrari is generally a lot nicer on tyres, or it can be a lot nicer on tyres, providing obviously you're nice and smooth and controlled with the car. And maybe this is what we're seeing, because look at the gap, it's 1.1 seconds now, just about to tick over to that, in fact, depending on the run. So it's close. I've actually looked as well. Look at Yuri Crispin. I know we've not really seen him much on stream because he's been really sort of running his own race. But look at what he's doing at the moment. He's in P3. He's sitting comfortably. He's only about a second behind. He's about 1.8 seconds, 2 seconds behind his teammate Robbie Janssen. So he's run an absolutely fantastic race, and it's just sitting there just doing what he needs to do. Look at the gap though. Just come down. Cedric Valters, don't know if he's had a bit of a moment there, but the gap has come down to about 0.8 of a second. It may be too little too late with 8 minutes or 7.5 minutes left to go. But we're going to see. We're going to see how it all fares, because I'm not entirely sure, or I wouldn't say this race is just over yet, because, I mean, as we know it, we've done quite a few commentaries previously in the past with Simracersworld, and again, we've seen a lot can happen in the last 5 minutes, in the last 30 seconds, let alone the last 8 minutes of a race.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that springs to mind actually was, I think it was one of the endurance runs we did, wasn't it? The Dynamics Endurance Series was at Catalonia, where it was at the last moments for GT3. That all of a sudden changed around right at the end, and we might be seeing some last lap drama still to come in GTs as we see what's happened here with Indy Storms. Is it another classic GT lockup? Yes, it is. Really slams onto brakes. Deathly afraid of taking an off track at the moment, Indy, it seems to me, isn't it? Not wanting to get off the circuit whatsoever. Want to have a nice clean race, but the tyres aren't going to be thanking one little bit, as Cedric Valters seems to be very strong on these high speed sections of the track, then slows down in the mid sector, but it's playing to the strength of the car, isn't it? That's what you got to do when you're in a different car to what is, I suppose, the favoured machine. Is you need to play into the strengths, and the Ferrari is so good on just acceleration out of the corners, and well, the top speed as well, it has to be said, favouring Cedric Valters at the moment. But with 6 minutes to go, the gap around about 1 second. We've seen Robbie Janssens close it down, and if Robbie Janssens doesn't make any mistakes really through this middle sector, you could expect him to really close, potentially coming out of Stavelo and into the bus stop once more. But Cedric Valters, he hasn't looked like making a mistake all race, has he?
No, he hasn't. He's just run his race. He's done what he needed to do. He's got the hammer down and head down, cracked on. Like, he's done exactly what he needed to do. Fair play. I've actually looked at Yuri Crispin. He's actually putting in some quick lap times. He's now the fastest man out on track by just over 1/10 of a second. I'm having actually almost 2/10 of a second. He was, his last lap was a 2:12.71, and Cedric Valters and Robbie Janssens with a 2:12.90 and a 2:12.89. So that couldn't be closer between those two, could it? Let's be honest. You've got 1/100th of a second between the two in terms of lap time. So Robbie Janssen's tyres haven't quite gone off yet. He's actually pulled a couple of tenths back. So I said this could all work. This could all still kick off. We're going to see how this materialises in the last final 5 minutes of the race. As you can see, it's just ticked over to that. In fact, what timing that was, eh? But yeah, so Yuri Crispin, he's put in the times in that he needs to put in. Again, I mean, the gap is 1.27 seconds. It's quite a long way away. But it goes to show he's got some pace. He's really got some pace. And he's actually only a little bit slower than Cedric Valters on a straight line. So I wonder if Robbie Janssens, maybe he's dropping a bit of time. He's catching a bit up in the midsection. Maybe he's just running maybe a click more rear wing. I don't know. We don't know the setups. But yeah, hopefully we'll be able to chat with these guys potentially after the race. But yeah, like I said, Cedric Valters is just done what he needs to do, isn't he? He's just really done what he needs to do.
Yeah, exactly. So what you need to do, as you mentioned, is just be consistent, not really do anything too dramatic, and just use the gap, build the gap to a margin where you're comfortable. And Cedric Valters, well, he wasn't the quickest driver over one lap. He's been the quickest driver consistently. There's not been any mistakes being made at all. There's not really seen any lockups either, as you see a car in front do just that. Cedric Valters just playing to his car's strengths, making sure he's nice and sensible, not trying anything silly in the final 4 minutes. He's got a car in front of him, actually, that's going to help him potentially into Les Combes. That is one of the Porsches. I'm not sure which one that is. I think that might be Sven Jansen's, actually, in the number 3 Porsche, giving him a nice cheeky little toe into Les Combes, neutralizing any gains at all that Robbie Janssens might make of it. Now they're going to come into the middle sector, and this is where, is Cedric Wouters going to get held up here? I think he might be. Getting well out of the way, though, is the Porsche. That is Sven Janssens. Does very well to not get himself involved in this fight for the lead. Credit to him there. You've got to say it's smart driving on display.
Yes, very, very true. This is, like I said, we've seen this before. You know, we've got some good, again, people will recognise him when they need to be lapped and everything. But also as well, it's, you know, credit to obviously these guys, but they need to make sure that they overtake safely. You know, it's one of the main things is, you know, you can get people that sort of let you pass and everything, but at the same time, it's the responsibility of the driver, of the faster driver, to get past. The person that is lapping people, it is their responsibility. So, you know, bit of two, but yeah, like I said, Sven Janssens obviously recognised that he was going to be in the way and then moved out, obviously, so the gap, so the race could continue. But yes, the gap has come down 0.7 of a second. Not really a lot. I'm just having a look here. This could be potentially the last. It might not be. I actually, I'm just having a look. Yes, it's going to be the last lap. So next lap is actually going to be the last lap. It's going to be close. But unfortunately, so this is exactly what Cedric Wouters wants, but definitely not what Robbie Janssens was. But look at the gap. It's come down to 4/10. Oh, it's about half a second now. It's come down even further. This could be a very interesting last lap. If Robbie Janssens really hooks it up and Cedric Wouters maybe has a small... Oh, this is going to be close. This is going to be so close. But yeah, one more lap, I believe, looking at the timer. So this is definitely not over yet. This is really not over yet. There's Ed.
Yeah, it certainly isn't. Cedric Wouters closing, or Cedric Wouters actually trying to build the gap to Robbie Janssens, who is closing down little by little as they go over the crest for the final time here at Rouge Radion. Look at this, the Porsche getting ever bigger in the rear view mirrors of Cedric Wouters. And now what Robbie knows he has to do is stay close, stay there, but has a slight moment, takes too much speed into Les Combes, loses a bit of time to the Ferrari. What Robbie knows he has to do is just stay there, stay within about half a second, coming out of, well, the, I'm not sure if it's Stavolo Curve, Paul Frere, whichever one it is. I really struggle to know. I think it's also called Campus. There's so many different names of these corners. In fact, Robbie Janssens, he's taking the off tracks. He's using every little bit of circuit possible. He knows now that if he's got a clean race, the instant limit in this is 17. So if he's got, and he's using them right now to get any advantage possible. Sprint till the end. And I think if Cedric is able to stay ahead, doesn't make any mistakes, that he's not been showing any signs of doing so far this race. In fact, yeah, Janssens, he's only got one more X. If he gets one more, he's going to be going into the, he's going to have to serve a penalty. So Robbie Janssens, he can't run the risk of running wide anymore. He needs to get it absolutely pitch perfect here through this corner. And I think he just about gets away with it there, right on the ragged edge of what the iRacing allows you to do. And then the other one where it's easy to get an off track is through this corner here through Blanchimont. But as we go on through Blanchimont for the final time of asking, Cedric Wouters looks to have a big enough gap to stay ahead and take the victory in this race.
He does indeed, you're right. One more corner to go. It's going to be close, but look at that. Cedric Wouters takes the win for the Extreme Kart 1 hour special event at Spa Francorchamps. Look at that. Robbie Janssens comes home in second, and Yuri Crispin, Robbie Janssens' teammate, comes home in third. What a drive there from Cedric Wouters. Exactly what he needed to do, and good stuff indeed. But Robbie Janssens was not letting him have it too easy. Look at that. So we've got Vince Peters, Ronald Moons as well. That's going to come over the line in 5th and 6th. Matthias Mass comes home in P4. We haven't, to be fair, in terms of like gaps, everyone actually, this is one of the things that you can get sometimes as well with pit stops. I've actually, one person to note, look at Walden Millers. He's worked his way back up into P8, and he's not too far away from Yannick Lemons, who's just going to come across the line in P7. As you can see, he comes across the line now, so Ron Moon's P6, Lemons 7th, Walden Millers 8th. Oh, this is, I mean, it was going to be tough, but I mean, yeah, Robbie Janssens, he just did exactly what he tried to do, exactly what, and it was so close. Like, you look at that half a second, I think, to be fair, yeah, a little bit of overspeed being carried into, that was Lacombe, or the Lacombe complex, 10.789. And I think if that wasn't there, that would have been a very, very different ending. Or it may have been the same ending, but that would have been even closer, which is obviously what we want as commentators, because it's fantastic stuff to commentate on. As we got that, I thought that was Chris. That was actually Dimitri Siv that's very excited, as well as that is Jean Van Liam, that are both very excited to finish line, and where they have 12th and 13th. That is Christophe de Bussa. He's in 14th. But yeah, I don't see how that could have been. I mean, it could have been much closer, but yeah, Robbie Janssens pulled it where it needed to be in the last couple of laps, didn't he, Ed?
Yes, absolutely. What a great race that we've been treated to here. Cedric Wouters takes the race victory and also gets to take home 2 Extreme Kart vouchers. Robbie Janssens, second place, gets 1 to his name, and Yuri Christiansen also with the third place finish gets himself another voucher to take home. And as we've been seeing, we've seen plenty of action, a great overtake as well. I think it was for Van den Akker, as we saw quite early on in the race, going side by side up through Eau Rouge, and then at the crest at Radion, getting the move done finally into Les Combes, the one that you said was set up so long in advance. I think that is as well worthy of a voucher for the best overtake this race. But of course, as well, as we will shortly be able to run you through the finishing order, I've been able to sweet talk the organisers. Don't say I don't do anything for you in chat, boys. I've got you all another voucher that you can win. So make sure you're all typing away in chat and getting hyped for that, because as after I've run you through, or after maybe myself or Dan runs you through the finishing order, we can get you that voucher in chat.
Absolutely. Let's just grab the overall results, as we're going to see them on screen in but a few moments' time. That's definitely not the results that we want. Apologies, we will be bringing you those in just a few moments' time. But yeah, I mean, as races go, yeah, really, really good stuff. Ed, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you take the grid and run through it, if that's okay.
That is more than all right. And Cedric Wouters, as we mentioned, takes the victory for the Extreme Kart.be special event, the 1 hour of Spa Francorchamps, going to the Ferrari driver, just ahead of Robbie Janssens and Jerry Crispian, who round out the podium, getting themselves a Extreme Kart voucher each. Then we'll see Matthias Maas missing out there in 4th position, ahead of Vince Peters, Ronald Moons, Yannick Lemens, Ward Malatz, Johan Ronsmans, Dennis Lukes, Jon van den Akker, Jon van Lijmt, Dimitri Schufs, Christophe de Busse, Stef Delnuz, Bjorn van Imp, Martin Rosmans, and then Cohen van Dijk in 18th position. The third Ferrari there in that race, and the lowest finishing Ferrari, ahead of Kenny Libert, Sven Janssens, Gobi Huard, Indy Storms, and then other drivers that didn't quite make it till the end were Wesley Venstermans and Arby Pittenvils. But all of the drivers in chat, all of the Belgians that are here in chat, get yourself some nice claps going, get the hype brewing, because I think we can pick out a driver someone who is a lucky recipient in chat for the third and final giveaway this evening. And let's have a look. Are there any drivers in the chat currently that are coming, or in the race that are coming into the chat? I can't see any at the moment. So get some claps in chat, boys, and we will be able to find out who will be the lucky recipient of the final voucher this evening.
Yes, we will indeed. Like I said, as Ed said, make sure you do get involved. And just have a look as well, Ed. We haven't got anyone currently in the interview booth. As I say that, Yuri Crispin decides to prove me wrong, and he's decided that he wants to have a chat. So we're going to bring in our third place man in this particular event in the 1 hour of Spa Francorchamps. This is so. bear with us, everyone, and we will bring him in momentarily. And we've also got Cedric Vouchers as well. Oh, we got Kobe Hart. This is where everyone's starting to come now. Brilliant. So here we go. Right, what I'll do is let's bring in. Actually, I'll tell you what. As we've got Cedric Vouchers, should we bring in Cedric first, Ed?
Yes, let us do that. And Cedric, welcome to the booth. And well, that was a very intense race. You weren't quite able to put it on pole, but pole doesn't count. And this does it. It's all about getting that race victory.
Yeah, indeed. I missed pole by quite a small margin. Maybe a bit too cautious, but yeah, in the end, P2 was a very good result to start the race. And yeah, I knew it would be very important to have a very good pit stop and try to save some fuel on the way. And I think that's where I could make the difference in the end.
Yeah, it certainly was. You was also just about having the consistency, was it? We didn't see you make any mistakes all race long. Is it just something you had in your setup, or is it just the way the Ferrari works for you?
Yeah, the Ferrari is quite stable over a whole stint, and that's I think made a difference in the end. Made a few small mistakes, but nothing too bad. And yeah, if you can keep up the rhythm, that helps a lot, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And you are the winner, of course, of this race, but also you're going to be taking home 2 extreme kart vouchers. I'm sure you're going to be very pleased with that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking forward to get back into karts. It's been a very long time with this whole situation, so I think it will be very welcome.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Cedric. But before we say goodbye to you, let you celebrate your race victory here, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to here on the broadcast?
Yeah, for sure. First of all, the people at Extreme Karts for setting up this great event. I think it's overall, I think it was a very good race. And obviously, I would like to congratulate Yiri and Robin as well for a very nice battle, which made it so intense. So yeah, and basically everyone who showed up. I think this was one very good result and a very good event.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Cedric, and congratulations, of course, on your race victory here for the 1 hour of Spa Francorchamps.
Thank you very much.
So that was our race victor, Dan. And I think, you know what, I'll bring in the should we bring in Yuri Crispian, who also finished on the podium? Welcome to the booth, Yuri. And that was a very exciting race from your perspective. Just talk us through. Just you weren't quite able to get the race victory, but still, you're getting a voucher at the end of it. You can't be too displeased.
Yeah, definitely not disappointed. But still, we expected a little bit more. But all good. Quali was good. We expected Cedric and Traxxas. Well, we expected it to be a fast racing versus Traxxas battle. So yeah, that was it. Quickly got up to second place during the start of the race with a very good start. But Cedric is just so fast. Had to give it back quite quickly. And then during the pit stop, both me and Rob actually fueled a little bit too much. And yeah, Cedric just jumped over us. Couldn't get him back in the end as well. So yeah, too bad, but still very nice race, very clean race. Had a lot of fun, and I need a new t-shirt.
The less we hear about that, the better. Maybe Yuri. I'm not sure if you want to know about your sweaty bits, but thank you anyway for providing what was a very exciting and very clean race from yourself. And well, we have a little bit of a limit on time, so we'll get ready to say goodbye. But before we do, is there anyone you want to thank here on the broadcast?
Oh yeah, of course, you guys for the broadcast. It was nice always. We'll definitely watch it during the evening. And then Extreme Kart for the organization. Very fun race. So hope to see a lot more races hosted by Extreme Kart. And of course, our team, Fast Racing team, lots of great guys. We had lots of fun practicing and always great racing with them. So, yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Yuri, and congratulations on your third place. You're going to be taking home an Extreme Kart Racing voucher. Congratulations.
Awesome. Thanks again. See you later, guys.
So that was Yuri Crispian, our third place finisher for the evening. And you know what? I've been having a look at all of the claps in the chat, and I'll tell you, Arnott DeVos, you are the winner of the third and final voucher this evening. Yeah, I am like Oprah Winfrey, giving out vouchers left, right, and center. I feel like an absolute king. It's great to see you, Arnott DeVos. Put your name in the chat and get in contact with Extreme Kart on Facebook, and that will all be sorted out for you. I sweet talked the organisers in the background to get one extra one to give away, so you can thank me very kindly for that one, Arno. Congratulations.
Absolutely.
And as well, apologies everyone if you've been hearing weird microwave noises in the background, but well, Dan, I think you've got an explanation for that one.
Yeah, yeah, it's the living in a one bed, So everything at the moment, all my stuff is in the living room. So yes, do apologise if anyone can hear anything. But I mean, to be fair, we had a lot of things to preoccupy ourselves with. So I'm guessing that was something that was not worrying people, because yeah, that was fantastic. It was such a good race. I love GT cars. It provides amazing racing, and it's a nice change as well to have something as well like we were having with some almost like a sprint race as well, wasn't it? An hour sprint race. It's something that I haven't commentated on for a while. It's been fantastic to do so. It's been really, really good fun.
Yeah, it has been absolutely brilliant. But I think everyone is enjoying it. If you have enjoyed it as well, make sure to give the stream a cheeky little like. Maybe give Simracersworld TV a bit of a follow as well for any action we are able to bring you in future. You'll certainly be in the best seats for it. But I think, Dan, that is all we have time for here for this Extreme Kart special event. But it's certainly been one to remember.
It has indeed. It's been absolutely fantastic. And yeah, I mean, it's been great. Thank you, everyone, for sticking around. And thank you, everyone, for watching what has been an absolutely incredible event. Obviously, big thanks as well to Extreme Kart for hosting this event as well. It's been great fun. It's been a pleasure to commentate on, and we look forward to seeing you in there. We look forward to seeing you again for another event very, very soon. But before we do head off, though, please, if you haven't already, do make sure you like this stream. Make sure you like and comment as well. Get involved with all these streams coming up with Simracersworld, and make sure if you haven't already, please make sure you do subscribe. It helps the channel out massively, and it really does make a difference. So thank you all very, very much indeed. But as Ed said, we are time restricted. We do have to shoot off. Thank you everyone for watching. As I said, my name is Daniel Handover. Joining me for this event has been Ed May. It's been a pleasure as always, Ed. And yeah, until next time, everyone, make sure you take care and stay safe.